we're back with Dennis Peron here at Pot TV. Now, Dennis, you're gay, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
Okay, and you're pretty out too, I expect.
Yeah, well, I lost my liver from AIDS. I think everyone pretty much knows that story.
Right. Well, I was wondering maybe you could kind of give us your view on the two types of scapegoating that I see are quite similar and quite prevalent in the last half of the last 50 years. Are the homophobia on the one hand, and I guess euphorophobia on the other. Do you find any similarities between the two? What
was the second one,
Euphorophobia, like the fear of either people
euphoria.
who are high or being high yourself? Or?
Well, I always said this is not really about marijuana, that this is about something else. And for America, I don't know about Canada, but I do know for America, this is really a play out of the 60s, and it's the Vietnam War continued. It's like take 4 of the Vietnam War.
Yeah.
And marijuana got a bad name during the war in Vietnam. People were against the war, and they were smoking marijuana. It was indelibly linked that marijuana, it creates a peaceful people. And, I actually agree with that. I do believe that they were right, that marijuana does create more peaceful people, and the people that warmongers, etc., have good fear, have rightfully so, that they are fearful of marijuana because it does. It will slow down the military-industrial complex in the end. But I think what we got is the Vietnam War being played out on the backs of sick and dying people, and these guys are not going to give it up until they voted out of power, and they lost in California. They've lost in 11 states. And I think what we're seeing is the baby boomers taking over, and what I see is the hippies taking over.
Right.
And we're going to make a better world despite these warmongers, despite these people that have demonized us for years. They've used marijuana, but it really is, let's go get the fags, let's go get the blacks, let's go get the Latins, let's go get these guys.
Yeah.
And what do they got to get them? They don't really have much, but they got pot.
Yeah.
And they've used that, and... as far as euphoria, we are a Puritan country. We were founded by the Puritans, so, we don't like to feel too good too often.
Yeah, there's that...
there's something wrong with that.
Fear of pleasure.
We don't know what, but we just know it's inherent. So, there's that streak runs through the country, too.
One of the defenses I used in my trial was that that if you have won your right to your sexual orientation, you should also... just logistically or logically win your right to your substance orientation as well. Do you think you could draw those connections?
Yeah, I think it's the whole foundation for the whole country. I mean, it was founded with personal freedom, individual choice, and the whole country was founded on that stuff.
Right. Yeah, and, it's about time they deliver, hey?
And religion too. I mean, we talk about spirituality and marijuana has been, part of religious and medical experiences for thousands of years. It's hard to deny it.
Are you religious?
I turned Buddhist when I was in Vietnam, and I still am a Buddhist.
Yeah.
And I was born Catholic, and I'm still recovering from Catholicism. But Buddhism has, put me at peace with nature and at one with nature. And it also has put me at peace with... my outer world, not striving for material goods and power and things like that. So you give up that stuff when you turn Buddhist, and life's a little easier.
Yeah. Now, just to turn to something completely different, I was wondering if in your course of being a marijuana activist, you came across certain safety tips on growing cleaner pot or mode of administration, method of delivery systems, that sort of thing, whether you favor water pipes, vaporizers, joints. Do you grow organically? Questions like that.
Well, we do make a point of growing organically, and lately I've been seeing a lot of hydro farms that have the pot has this chemical taste and this chemical aroma that, I'm almost not trusting it.
Yeah, me neither.
And I'm almost leery of it, and I don't know what we're doing. And we increase the potency, but what else are we doing?
Yeah, I think it's cheaper to grow with chemicals and easier, but not necessarily safer.
And it might not be safer. We don't know in the long run. So I grow totally organically, and essentially what I do is I smoke it in joints.
Joints, eh?
Occasionally pipe, but I don't like that vaporizer.
No, I think the vaporizer is better at transmitting other cannabinoids other than THC.
Other than one that gets you high.
Yeah.
I agree, so...
Maybe it'd be better for MS or epilepsy people, but not necessarily if you're looking for pain or antidepressant.
No, or anorexia, too.
Yeah, the appetite stimulation and the anti-fatigue stimulation seem to be linked together. Do you know anything about THC, CBD, and other cannabinoids? Whether there's certain ailments that go with certain cannabinoids? Do you know anything about that?
All we have is anecdotal evidence of people that have undergone chemotherapy that like sativa,
right?
Or people that have AIDS wasting syndrome that like indica.
Mm-hmm.
People, who are in a wheelchair that like a combination.
Right.
So, I mean, all we have is anecdotal, and all we have is, like, people saying what they say.
Right.
And I don't know. It'll take a long study before we actually know what is good for what.
We'll have to map it out with a whole bunch of hundreds of thousands of strains and different ailments, too.
And essentially what we're going to get is people telling us what they say, what they feel, and that will be the information.
That's far more valuable information than some sort of controlled studies with Mississippi bunkweed on the one hand and a placebo on the other. What do you think of those?
I don't know how they can give people a placebo of marijuana. It just doesn't work.
The clinical trials that are coming up in Canada, they want to use our government actually wants to use that 2.4% Mississippi bunkweed that's probably grown in chemicals for all we know.
It's all political, and they're trying to design a test for us so we can fail.
Yeah, that's what I've been telling everybody is that we gotta challenge those clinical trials and not participate in them unless it can be the most potent, most cleanest organic cannabis that we can find. Because any other standard, it's going to fail.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so, well, I think the political thing is going to be cleared up, within a couple of years. I know there's still a lot of people caught up in the web of cops and robbers and the whole game that they've been playing for years. But
you think those narcs are addicted to their job?
I think they are, but I also think that they see the handwriting on the wall.
Do you think we could rehire them to tackle predatory crime and corporate
There'll always
pollution?
be something for them to do.
Yeah, there's lots of
problems
still to solve.
They'll always find something for them to do. And I was just saying to my friend, I said, well, okay, when we legalize marijuana, are we still going to hate the cops? And we talked about it for a while. And we said, well, they'll probably still try to bust up our parties, right?
They'll think of some other excuse.
But in fact, I really can't stand hating anybody or being afraid of the cops. I want to essentially, raise the white flag and say, hey, look, this has gone on long enough, and we have enough casualties on each side. Yeah. Can't we just, stop?
Can't we all just get a bong?
Yeah.
I read that on a bumper sticker
like
somewhere.
That.
Yeah, and on that point, we'll stop for another commercial message here on Pot TV.